And now let's meet today's starting lineups. First for the visiting Georgian Court Lions. Starting at defense, a junior from Rutland, Massachusetts, number 8, Joe Murphy. Starting in attack, a sophomore from Howell, New Jersey, number 10, Vincent Burns. Starting in midfield, a sophomore from Howell, New Jersey, number 13, Doug McKenzie. Starting at defense, a sophomore from Islip, New York, number 17, Hunter Rindos. Starting in attack, a redshirt sophomore from Victoria, British Columbia, Canada, number 18, Brett Bridges. Starting at the attack, a junior from Freedom, New Jersey, number 23, James Sanford. Starting at midfield, a sophomore from Howell, New Jersey, number 24, Tyler Burns. Starting at midfield, a senior from Milltown, New Jersey, number 33, Talon Smith. Starting at defense, a redshirt junior from Jackson, New Jersey, number 45, Michael Schoen. And in net for the Lions, a sophomore from Stillwater, Minnesota, number 21, Vincent Burkhart. The Lions are led by assistant coaches Cade Sidron, Stephen McGuire, and Colin Rhodes, and head coach Mickey Hover. And now let's meet the starting lineup for your post-University Eagles. Starting at defense, a sophomore from Putnam Valley, New York, number 4, Anthony Esposito. Starting on the attack, a senior from Colchester, Connecticut, number 5, Dylan Heald. Starting at attack, a sophomore from Putnam Valley, New York, number 6, Ryan DeNike. Starting at Fogo, a sophomore from Idaho Falls, Idaho, number 8, Jackson Holden. Starting in midfield, a senior from Bowmanville, Ontario, Canada, number 19, Jack Longmore. Starting in attack, a junior from Oshawa, Ontario, Canada, number 21, Robbie McGrain. Starting in long stick midi, a junior from Aurora, Ontario, Canada, number 22, James Sproul. Starting at defense, a senior from Raynham, Massachusetts, number 23, Nolan Carfagna. Starting at defense, a senior from Williston Park, New York, number 35, Nate Dowd. And in the net for the Eagles, a senior from Bowmanville, Ontario, Canada, number 41, Cole George. The Eagles are led by assistant coaches David Robinson, John Murray, and Prescott Perry, and led by head coach Pat Iannarelli. All right, so I get to do double duty today and get us started, and this game needs little introduction, folks. The CACC Conference Opener, two teams with expectations to be high up in these rankings when the season comes to an end. My name is Chris Del Sordo. Thank you so much for joining us today here on the Nest Network. You are watching coverage of post-university sports live on the CACC Network. The last time we joined you, a big win in an inter-conference matchup against the University of Hartford. The defense continuing to click at Lemoy Field. They allowed just 5 goals and doubled up the Hartford Hawks in terms of amounts of shots. Cole George continuing an untouched streak in net that really across the NCAA we have not seen the likes of yet to this season. The Eagles right now, 4 wins, 3 losses, in the middle of a 3-game winning streak in which they have allowed a grand total of 12 goals, outscoring their opponents by 29, 41-12. The capstone moment was the big 21-0 shutout over St. Thomas Aquinas, and then they came right back against a very game Hartford team and beat them 9-5. And so that brings us to today. We are into CACC conference play. The defending conference champion Georgian Court Lions making the trip up from Lakewood, New Jersey, and the face-off won backwards, collected by Garrett Kenny. He'll send it back, and it will be the Lions with the first possession of the ball today. This is a high-powered attack for Georgian Court. They've scored plenty of goals across their early season schedule. In fact, they started off the season with a 20-goal win over the University of D.C. A couple of heartbreaking losses, though, recently, including a 5-18 drubbing at the hands of Pace, which no one really saw coming, and then a home loss to Assumption University 11-12. Just couldn't close it out in the fourth quarter. And so a different feel so far early on, and the Eagles trying to maybe take advantage of that, as that's a bounce shot sent in by Jack Longmore joining the attack, and that was played in offsides. So even if that shot was closer to the net, it wouldn't have tested much, wouldn't have mattered too much. Longmore, first possession, one turnover for the Eagles. And that was the same story for Georgian Court after they won the faceoff. They barely got it across the midfield line before a pass scurried off the stick of a Lion and out of bounds. This is Tyler Burns, a midfielder from Howell, New Jersey. Fourth on the team with 14 points. He'll hand it off to Doug McKenzie, just as much of a string puller offensively. McKenzie with 13 goals, just 2 assists. But there's a bit of a, not a core 4, but a top 6, just like Post University, where if you want to make that hockey analogy, you have your 2 top lines of forwards, and then the scoring isn't going to really come from anywhere else. But for both of these teams, they know who can deposit the goals, and they have some players on each side with concentrated goal numbers. Brett Bridges leads the way for Georgian Court, 19 of them. Talon Smith and Doug McKenzie with 13 apiece. Shot clock will reset here after that pass was deflected by the Eagles, and so it does give a fresh 80 here for Georgian Court. Spinning was Burns, trying to free himself from the mark of Keefe, and the Eagles, it looks like Post pressing out slightly here in a bit of a zone. Low shot, George had a read on it, it misses wide, but closest to it is Tyler Burns. Burns out there with Brett Bridges. Just waiting for the go-ahead here. Okay, so the shot clock is where it's supposed to be. 2 Burns out on the offense right now, both Vincent and Tyler Burns along with Brett Bridges. Doug McKenzie, he had it. He works backwards to Harrison Jordan. And Kyle Harms, the last player out on the field right now in the offensive rotation for Georgian Court. Losing it for a second, picking it back up is Tyler Burns. And this is Vincent Burns, now number 10, wheeling it back around. The Burns brothers playing a little 2-man game from behind the net here. Tim Keefe dropping back defensively. An angled look near the doorstep, and it leads to an open man on the outlet pass, and that is a snipe. Brett Bridges from Vincent Burns, and it just seemed like everybody was following number 10 as he snuck towards the right post. He floats it back out to Bridges, who gets to walk right in to a left-handed snipe. When it comes to goal scorers, number 18 is as good as it gets for Georgian Court, and that is his 20th goal on the season, putting the Lions up 1-0. Different start to this contest than it was against U Hartford. Remember, that game saw 14 minutes of lacrosse before even one goal. This goal scored at the 2:19 mark. Bridges, his 20th from Vincent Burns. So already this game with a slightly different tenor than what we saw on Tuesday afternoon. Not once did the Post University Eagles have to play from behind. The game was tied at 1-1, then the closest it got at that point was 5-3. The Eagles rattled off 4 consecutive goals to make it 9-3. They never had to look back. In fact, they didn't really have to push the pedal much at all. Different story here already is they've lost all 3 faceoffs so far in this contest. They've allowed a goal, and now they're back on their heels here with a hard charging and a confident Vincent Burns running the X. Long shot, what a snipe, and that's Nicholas Hackle, or pardon me, not 77, 71. Joe Zur, a junior from Victoria, British Columbia. He has 1 goal, make it 2, and that's his 7th point of the season for number 71. Just takes the pass all the way back. That's the same looking play. Get everybody focused on the action on the back line around the net. Fling it back out to the midfield and let one of your midfielders let it rip. Zur, his 2nd of the season, but he looks like he's done it before, and the Lions out to an early 2-0 lead. Holden gets upended. It's picked up momentarily. Player loses a stick, so you got to hand it to Mike Keene on the play, and ultimately Keene sticking with it and whacking at the ball will be a face-off win and a clear for the Eagles, and that's exactly what they needed. But Brett Bridges, Joe Zur, 2 early goals here for Georgian Court. And let's see, this is just the 2nd time with the ball for Post University. They got a shot off, but they played it in offsides. And so, by all means, this is the first offensive possession of the afternoon. Post playing it very wide around the perimeter, and Tim Keefe having to drop to a knee to maintain possession there. Noah Piette, 2 goals early in the game against University of Hartford. And now back on the right side of the attack is Tim Keefe. He's met high from a stick check by Kyle Harms. Harms dropping back. Keefe has an outlet. It's Hindman. Long shot, kept it low, but reading the bounce on the play was Vincent Burkhart. The first thing you notice about Vincent Burkhart is his imposing size. He stands 6'5" and plays with a confident nonchalance of somebody that can afford to do that with that frame. And that, I mean, it's not going to be an assist, but it might as well be an assist. Burkhart throws it over the top, catching it in stride, unmarked for the goal is Tyler Burns. So Vincent Burns with an assist, Tyler Burns with a goal. That is his 8th, and it is a beautiful start for the Lions of Georgian Court, up 3-0. I was talking about the goalie Burkhart, and his stats are good, his size is better, but that was the pass right into the midfield. Nobody picks up Tyler Burns, and Burns scores his 8th, and it's everything the Lions want to see early on in this contest here. Luckily for the Eagles, violation committed on the draw by number 9, Garrett Kenny. And so a slow build-up here as Post just wants to see something positive happen here. You want to take as many goals as you can get, but stringing together a positive possession, you had one shot miss the net entirely, and it was offsides. You had a second one get saved rather easily, and then the subsequent save and the run-out led to a look. And so the Eagles looking confident here. Once again, a wide perimeter set by the Eagles as they just let their 2 midfielders on the horns go to work. Keefe, angling right, gets a move inside, keeps the cradle alive, and this frees up somebody behind the net. That's Heald. Heald right and close, and the ball was never in his pocket, but it pops straight up, and it's read on the play by Leighton Cook. So Cook resets it out to Piet. Still 39 to shoot, plenty of times here for the Eagles. McGrain a little bit further away from the net than he usually operates, so it's back to Keefe. Keefe kept that one in the left hand, not a good pass intended for Piet, and you can feel the buzz building up here from the Georgian Court Lions. A second turnover forced already in the first 5 minutes of this game, and already with a 3-0 lead, they have a chance to just truly change the complexion of this contest. Now, the way lacrosse works as a sport, and I don't need to tell anybody watching this, the way it works, a comeback is always possible, but the mental task of overcoming a 3-0 deficit and even a 4-0 deficit, monumental. And so that's a good turnover forced by the Eagles right there. Once again, they've strung together 2 stops in a row, but 2 different goals have been scored right in transition looks the Eagles couldn't catch up to. Brett Bridges leading us off with an assist from Vincent Burns, scoring his 20th goal of the season just 2 minutes in. Right after that, the second goal of the year for Joe Zur. Here's a chance for the Eagles. Keefe, that pass was high, and he had options there. He pulled the string on the pass early to Ryan Denike, and Denike, just 5'8" on the field, had to reach high to get that when it's over his stick and out of play. And so Georgian Court, credit to them, they're getting outscored by their opponents on the season, getting outscored, I guess if you want to average it, summarize it, their result is 12.5 to 14. They're allowing 14 goals a game. Not the same setup for Post University, but yet right now, if you would have told either of these teams, hey, who's going to have the upper hand offensively, now it's Georgian Court, and then their defense right now showing something. They gave themselves a tough non-conference schedule, but showing something they didn't have the ability to show in non-conference play. So you couldn't start off the CACC season any better for the Lions as they're holding this 3-0 lead. The Eagles once again forcing the ball back, and it's Heald spinning off a pick, picks up the mark of Zach Myers on the play. Heald angles it off to his left. Has a man up top. Oh, fakes the pass down low. It not corralled cleanly, but Tim Keefe there to back up the play. There was a look there for the Eagles. Keefe calling his own number. Low shot. It's saved and off the post. Denike gets the feed from Keefe after that one goes off the post. Piet gets spun off by the pole of Joe Murphy. And so once again, it's Tim Keefe really becoming the target man offensively for Post. That's a long shot. It misses wide. Closest to it is Dylan Heald. Chance there for Rob Torelli, the true freshman midfielder. Seeing it tick up in numbers here. Just his 3rd shot of the season. There's a look for Heald. Oh, and it hits the stick of the defender, Jordan Frank. Right place at the right time for number 44, the junior out of Humboldt, Texas. He just kind of threw the long pole out, and it hit the ball on the shot on the way in. Once again, Eagles back with it. Attacking from the X. That's Hindman trying to test the waters, and he puts the bounce in. It was read on the play by Burkhart, touches it, and still 28 as the ball goes behind the net. So the Eagles, hard-headed here on this offensive possession, maintaining it. That's 5 different shots on the net in these 90 seconds. That play deflected. And once again, that's Joe Murphy, 6'2" junior defender out of Rutland, Massachusetts. Him along with Jordan Frank. Multiple times they were able to read the passing lanes for the Eagles, and yet another dangerous pass on a clear attempt, but bailing out that play is Harrison Jordan. And wisely, Georgian Court opts to take the timeout before that turned into a 4th consecutive turnover. So Georgian Court, a rip-roaring start, 3 goals in the first 4 minutes. This game has settled down a bit, and Post finding its footing, trying to get it back to even. It's the CACC opener on the Nest Network, and we're going to take a quick break and be right back with more after this. You are watching Post University Athletics on the CACC Network. Welcome back into the live coverage. It is Georgian Court leading your Post Eagles by a score of 3-0. We're still early in the first quarter here. That timeout taken by the Lions. My name's Chris Del Sordo, bringing you the action today on the Nest Network, Post University Athletics on the CACC Network. And remember, you can watch all of the same action live and archived on our YouTube page at Go Post Eagles on YouTube. So the Lions winding it back in. Millen Webster seeing his first action here, and he quickly gets it behind the net to Tyler Michalski. This is a second line of attackers here. Big save from George as that was bounced in from James Sanford. That's the problem with these Georgian Court Lions. They have 9 different goal scorers with 4 or more, 15 different goal scorers with at least 2 goals, and so they can bring in a totally different wave of attackers, and every single one would be just as capable of getting it behind the net. And this is kind of line number 2 on the attack, if you will. Tyler Michalski, a sophomore from Washington Township, New Jersey, the township, behind the net. Looks back up top, and you can see Webster trying to duck his shoulder in there. He had 2 different long poles, wasn't going to find an angle, and so the smarter decision is send it back out to Talon Smith. Smith, a nice, easy 13-7 on the season, and he's hanging out right by the net. The Eagles wall off the charge in from Michalski, but he's able to find his outlet in the form of Brett Bridges. Now here's Zur. Just scored his second goal of the contest. And his second right there, his 3rd of the season. Number 71 calling his own number twice already. And Georgian Court 4 early goals. They're up 4-0. So if you're just joining us, yes, that scoreboard is correct. Georgian Court out to an early 4-0 lead. Bridges got an assist from Tyler Burns. Then Joe Zur scored an unassisted goal. Then Tyler Burns was assisted by his brother Vincent Burns to make it 3-0. And then another unassisted Joe Zur goal. So if you're Joe Zur or one of the Burns brothers, you're having a great day. And Brett Bridges, he got that first goal of the contest, bringing him up to 20 on the season. So a great way for the Lions to just kind of stem the tide a little bit and get the taste of that 11-12 Assumption University loss out of their mouths. They're up 4-0. Now remember, we're still in the first quarter here, so this means little, but it's paired right now with a great showing in the center circle from Garrett Kenny, the Fogo. He's won all but 2, 5 out of 7 so far in the center circle. McKenzie. He also has 13 goals, just like Smith. Now behind to Sanford. Sanford taken 2 shots already. Slow build up. McKenzie rips it, tries to bounce it in front of George. Let's see, there's a race to the ball, and they're going to give it to Anthony Esposito. The sophomore out of Putnam Valley put on the afterburners, won the race to the corner, and he'll get the ball back into the pocket of the Eagles, and that's got to feel nice. It's not as if the Eagles' defense has looked particularly bad. There was one goal from Zur that no one covered him in transition. The Tyler Burns goal looks similar to that. But they have forced 5 Georgian court turnovers already. This is the first time that we've seen Cole George really look human in the past 4 games. Keith, probably a smart decision there not to put the shot in through 2 defenders, and this will allow the entire offense to reset and rejoin the field for Post University. Nick Steele and Tim Keith at about the 35-yard line initiating the offense. Now they look down low to Leighton Cook. He doesn't like what he sees, and so they'll reverse court all the way back to Nick Steele. DeNike to Heald from the X. He has an outlet in the form of Leighton Cook. And so once again, post playing, kind of ring around the rosy, if you will, just seeing if they can create any crack to open up and expose in the middle. Keith, he can expose you with a long shot. He bounced that one in, and it goes off the right post. He beat Burkhart on the shot, but the post, his best friend there, and that's the second time we've had a ball nick post for the Eagles. They're back on the offensive attack. Heald. Not going to get around that pole of Joe Murphy. We've seen him make a couple of huge plays already. Back out the centering pass. Maybe Keith thinking about the rip. Instead, he takes the feed from McGrain. Keith around his defenders. Low shot, and he scores. He beats Vincent Burkhart 5-hole. So McGrain with the pass, the pick, Keith with the snipe, and the Eagles get one back. And Tim Keith, he has been the man recently for Post University. He's up to 39 points on the season. That is his 19th goal right when the Eagles needed it, and they're back to within 3. It's 4-1. So Tim Keith, he just seems to have the ball so often in that post-university attack. And this time, the way that they were orienting it, he was able to get a one-on-one matchup, beat his defender. That was Max Dennington, the long stick midi. He beat him with speed and then goes low. That's a tall goaltender in Vincent Burkhart. He's 6'5". That stick is up high. Keith wisely starts high, bounces low, finishes 5-hole, and the Eagles are back to within 3. But once again, another face-off win for Kenny in the center circle, and this is a dangerous Lions attack threatening. Around the perimeter of the offense here. Setting up a look for David Baldock. Down low to Bridges. Bridges up top to Smith. Smith needs 2 long poles here, getting whacked at by Esposito. He's able to keep the cradle alive. Still 40 to shoot for Georgian Court. Sebastian Castillo seeing his first action today. And number 15 winds it back up high. Just a confident, slow build here. You know that there's going to be a look for the Lions. That's a no-look pass right into the middle of the post defense. It scurries through a couple of Eagles, and then it's picked up by James Sproul. He's enjoying a great run of play. He just came off an assist and 12 ground balls scooped up in that win over U Hartford. There's a good clear for the Eagles. Longmore really out on an island, and a nice read on the play there from DeNike to come and rescue him, snag that pass, and now everybody where they need to be. That's a huge stop and a huge clear for the Eagles as they try to get back to within 2. Keith, a Division III transfer from Bridgewater State. Now, that is an above-average D3 program. He's a resident of Bridgewater, Massachusetts himself, but really finding some new angles to his game here now that he's here in Waterbury. That's a ripped shot from Heald, and it just misses over the crossbar. Closest to it is Keith. And this is our first look at Tim Keith operating from the X this afternoon. He has an outlet to his right. Keith dips the left shoulder. And look at that pole from Murphy. It rides him all the way out to the 40-yard line on the football gridiron, but the Eagles were ready for that, and they have the play set up to Hindman behind the X. Hindman jab step, and he has the size advantage on the short pole. Pass to the middle. Keith couldn't corral it, but a nice little ward off there from Keith to allow, that was Noah Piette, to run over and scoop it before it goes over the restraining line. So now Hindman to DeNike. DeNike around 2. 3 to shoot. DeNike puts it in, but Burkhart is there for the save. Burkhart has a shot clock on the other side of the field that he was looking at, so he knew DeNike had to get rid of it. Credit to the Eagles for getting a decent look there with the shot clock running against them, but a big stop for Burkhart. Just the 3rd save he's needed to make, and now he'll join the clearing attempt here, and it will be an easy one to Tyler Burns. Tyler Burns over to Doug McKenzie. McKenzie keeps it in his cradle. He has Nick Gallery matching him step for step. 4-second difference between the shot clock and the game clock, and so if the Lions want to, they can hold for the last shot of the possession here, and they're in their offense. It seems like that's what they plan to do. Logan Dennison, the redshirt junior, out up top to Tyler Burns. Burns spinning. Burns has a step on Brown, tries to float the pass into Dennison, takes it himself. That is too easy. Beautiful goal for the sophomore Tyler Burns, and he looked like a fifth-year senior. He got Jalen Brown to come out with him too many steps away from the crease, beats him with a spin, and picks the top right corner. And for the second time today, and the 9th time this season, Tyler Burns finds Twine, and he does it with just 20 seconds left in the quarter. A timely goal to put the Lions up 5-1. Four different goal scorers for Georgian Court. Tyler Burns is the first one to get 2 of them. He's played in all 8 games this season now for the Lions. He's up to 9. Timely faceoff window for the Eagles. This leads to a look on the run out. It goes over the net. The Eagles will have 10 seconds now to wind this one into play. McGrain is going to have to work quickly. Gets the screen from DeNike, had the man in the middle and healed, and that will more or less bring us. With 1 second left, I guess Georgian Court can just kind of fling it at the net if they want to. Nice to see Holden get himself a face-off win there for the Eagles, and they got a shot out of it right before the end of the quarter. Dennison whips it in. It will bounce right into the pocket of Cole George, and that brings us to the end of the first quarter. Plenty of bright spots for Post University, but it came with a flurry of Georgian Court goals as well. 2 for Tyler Burns, his brother Vincent Burns, with 2 assists. Bridges scores his 20th, 2 for Joe Zur, and Georgian Court looking like the better half through 15 minutes in the CACC season opener. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be back with quarter number 2 right after this on the Nest Network. So we rejoin the action here live at Lemoy Field. My name is Chris Del Sordo. Thanks for joining in on the Nest Network. A hot start for the Georgian Court Lions, just what they needed after a really heartbreaking loss against Assumption University 3 days ago. And it's a different story for Post University. They're riding, remember, a 3-game winning streak in which they are outscoring their opponents 41-12, and yet 5 first-quarter goals, 2 of them from Tyler Burns and Georgian Court. If you look across the stat sheet, most of the advantages, they're shooting more efficiently. Both teams have taken 11 shots on goal. You can see the scoreline as it stands right now. The Eagles with some good clearing defense, though. Georgian Court, this lead could be bigger. They're only 4 for 7 clearing the ball successfully. But here's a look behind the net. Millen Webster, and they're going to work quickly to Vincent Burns. 2 assists already. Zur, he has 2 goals. 2 goals for Joe Zur, 2 goals for Tyler Burns. Zur almost made his defender fall. Nice to see Jack Longmore keeping the footing there. Smith switches from right to left. He's shown the ability to use both. Can't get a shot off there with a great ride defensively from Mike Keene. But the ball does find Millen Webster behind the net. He's working on Jalen Brown. Brown rides him out, and Zur in no man's land, and now just 17 to shoot for Georgian Court. Let's see if they try and get it back behind the net here if it's Smith. So yes, they will. It's a two-horned attack from behind the net, down to 9 to shoot. So the Lions are going to have to force something quick. Burns got it. Wow, nothing else was working on that possession, and Vincent Burns, his third point of the day now, his first goal to go alongside 2 assists. He got through 2 Eagles defenders and beat Cole George right on the doorstep. It took 77 seconds into the quarter, and it is the 6th goal already for Georgian Court, the 3rd from the Burns brothers, and Vincent Burns now has a goal to go along with his 2 assists. It is the 3rd goal of the year for Vincent Burns. Now we still have 44 minutes of lacrosse to go, and it's an early 6-1 lead for the Georgian Court Lions. So that's an unassisted goal for Vincent Burns. I think 4 of the 6 goals for Georgian Court have been unassisted, and that's unfortunate for Post because they looked great and solid in their defense, and they had all their avenues covered, and then you get Vincent Burns, all 5'6" of him, taking on 2 defenders around the crease and scoring. And so Keith, he's got 1 today. That's in! How about that? A floater shot! It bounced in, it got tipped by a stick, and then in slow motion goes over Burkhart's stick. It just touches the back of the net and drops in. That's a pretty one for Tim Keefe, and get this, and nobody gets upset at any goal when it's your 20th of the season, but that's a goal to remember, a change-up from Tim Keefe, just bouncing over the goalie and finding Twine, his 2nd of the day, his 20th of the season, and Tim Keefe answering the bell as the Eagles get back to within 4. It's 2-6. That goal just 30 seconds after the Georgian Court goal, exactly what the boys needed for Post University, but Holden can't hold up his end of the deal in the center circle. It's another win for Kenny and the Lions, and Georgian Court working quickly. Harrison Jordan, big, talented sophomore attacker from Cranberry, New Jersey, and a big save from Cole George. The ball is still loose in front. Shovel and a save again. He saves it with his armpit. How about Cole George there? He was on his knees after making a big save. The ball scurried out to James Sanford, a very dangerous attackman. He tried to backhand shovel it, and George just stopped it with his armpit. And that's a great save for Cole George to give him some confidence in this game. He's already gotten beat 6 times, but remember, so much time left on the clock here. He has plenty of time now to get settled back in. Hindman in transition, and he gets picked up and wisely winds it back as he has Logan Dennison in front of him. No, that's 81. Sorry, there's a decent amount of high numbers on this roster for Georgian Court. Dennison wearing 91. Brendan Barnes, the long stick midi, marking up a one-on-one look here against Hayden Hindman. So he wisely finds some open room, and it's a give and go, and a big save from Burkhardt as Hindman gets robbed on a beautiful give and go. Burkhardt keeps the stick low and keeps it out of trouble. So it's Keefe. 2 goals, looking like just the ever-threatening goal scorer that he is. He gets around his defender, goes low, and another save made from Burkhardt. This time he got the stick down low in time. 2 Eagles winning the race, and wow, it's Keefe getting there himself after missing that shot right in front. Dylan Heald, so effective dodging in from behind the net. He gets a screen, has a man in front, and it's in! Brian DeNike finds Twine! Dylan Heald got that set up. He drew 2 defenders, slips the pass over to DeNike, and Ryan DeNike, for the 7th time this season, finding Twine. It is the 11th assist for Dylan Heald, and the Eagles back to within 3. That's 2 in a row. It's 6-3. So first it was Keefe from McGrain, then Keefe went unassisted, now DeNike from Heald, and Holden with a violation in the center circle, and this is getting a bit uneven in the center circle already. Credit to the Eagles though, 2 in a row, their first consecutive goals in this contest, and that was a well-executed play. Actually, you had 2 of them. First, the give and go, Hindman gets robbed, but then the ball gets right back to Heald. He finds DeNike. This is a snipe. What a beautifully executed play for the Lions as Talon Smith scores his first goal of the game and 14th of the season. James Sanford just picks that pass perfectly through two Eagles poles. Smith catches it, steps into it from distance, and the senior from Milltown, New Jersey scores his first goal of the contest, and he's second on the team now with 14 this season. Mallet Smith from James Sanford. Well, there goes that momentum, because the Eagles, it felt good with those two goals in a row. That only took about 15 seconds for Georgian Court, and another face-off win. Kyle Harms, we've seen him go both ways, offensively and defensively in the midfield. He helps pick up that ground ball, gains zone entry. And let's see, he comes off for Harrison Jordan. And so Georgian Court, they're bringing their A-team of attackers back out onto the field here, sensing an opportunity to make this a handful lead again. Remember, they were up 6-1. Two straight Eagles goals made it 6-3. We're at 7-3. That one bounces wide. George didn't quite win the race to the ball there as it angles away. Vincent Burns is going to get credit for it. Vincent Burns with a goal and 2 assists today for Georgian Court. He'll wind back to the X, but he'll hand it off to Harrison Jordan. A lot of size on the field right now on the attack for Georgian Court, and it leads the way with Jordan. He stands 6'3", working from the X. Doug McKenzie, the smallest player on the attack, Vincent Burns, but remember, he's got a goal and 2 assists already today. And so Georgian Court looking to pick their spots here. McKenzie floating in, around the defender, switches to the left hand. It's off the stick of George, off the crossbar, and he is in the crease after the shot. So it's a crease violation on Doug McKenzie that will give the ball back to the Eagles. 7-3 the count. Eagles have had their bright spots here, and they forced plenty of turnovers. There's a look in front. That was very, very easy as Jack Longmore flips it over to Robbie McGrain. McGrain with an assist, and now a goal. He leads the team with 24 of them, and Longmore finds him. That's a long stick mini hopping into the midfield attack, drawing a couple defenders, and a confident snipe from Robbie McGrain. And hold the phone. The Eagles have scored 3 of the last 4, and they're back to within 4-7. Jack Longmore, just a phenomenal play there to confidently join the attack and draw the two defenders and know that of anybody, Robbie McGrain is definitely going to be ready to shoot that one. Gets it right in his pocket, right in rhythm. And now Ryan DeNike fielding the ride of that long pole. The Eagles definitely feeling themselves right now, and you can hear it on the bench right in front of us here at Lemoy Field. Back on the ball, a confident-looking Tim Keefe. He's got 2. 2 for Keefe, 1 for Ryan DeNike, 1 for Robbie McGrain. McGrain also with an assist today. And now Leighton Cook, one of the Canadian contingent here on the post-university roster. He gets angled away from the net. Keefe over to DeNike. We've seen DeNike call his number a couple of times and play very aggressively, but in the flow of the offense here for post-university. Trying to get himself into the double-digit goal category. He's up to 7. Georgian Court really staying home and stretching out the post-university look, but Cook with an angle. Cook spins, and that one's blocked on the way in. Cook is in the crease, and so we'll go back the other way. Aiden Miranda, the sophomore midfielder from Haddon Township, I think he was able to just throw back a stick check and alter that shot in from Cook, and unfortunately for Leighton, even if that would have found Twine, it wouldn't have counted as he found himself into the crease. Miranda going to get rewarded for his efforts defensively. He helps out with a clear, and Georgian Court, a very timely stop for them. Remember, they've allowed 3 of this game's last 4 goals. Looking towards the middle is Brett Bridges. He couldn't find Millen Webster, so he opts out to just as good of an option in Mallet Smith. Smith put that pass behind Vincent Burns. He's able to catch back up to it. And so Georgian Court, even though they've gotten outscored by Post in the second quarter, it's an objectively cleaner quarter of Lacrosse. Zur looking for a hat trick, puts it right into the pocket of Cole George, and that one was still loose in front. Burns had it for a second. It's ultimately kept in by Zur. Smith misses wide, And they are going to call that a mis-executed pass. So that is bend but not break for the Eagles defense right where they needed. Now they're going to have to successfully clear this with some flat-footed players and a hard-riding attack from Georgian court. And you see it right there. That turnover forced on the play by Brett Bridges. And here's a look in the middle for Mallett Smith. Although he throws it out to the long pole, he wasn't ready for it. Luckily for the Lions, Bridges is there to pick up the pass from Ryan Kane. You knew that clear was going to be tough with who was on the field and where they were at. But Bridges didn't have to try hard to force that turnover, and you give an opportunity to make it 7-5. You give it right away, right back to the Lions. So the Eagles defense making it a little tougher on themselves, but can they pull off double duty here? Keefe. Wow, just staying step for step with Smith. Smith goes across field. That's deflected on the way in. It's picked up by Burns. Unreal. Oh, Vincent Burns doing everything for Georgian court. The shot was blocked and saved from George, but it was loose in front. Burns corrals it with his back to the net, does some moves that don't free up any space, and figures, you know what? No look shot, might as well give it a try. It gets under Cole George. It is the 4th point today for Vincent Burns. His 2nd goal to go along with 2 assists. He's up to 4 on the season. And the Burns brothers, with an afternoon to remember here so far at Lemoy Field, Georgian court, their 3rd goal of the 2nd quarter. They're back up 4, 8-4. And on that goal, it is going to be a slashing penalty against Tim Keefe. So Keefe going to be in the Sidman for 1 minute on the slash, and a big opportunity once we return from this break for the Lions to go up even more. 7:06 left to go in the 2nd quarter. Georgian court 8, Post University 4. We'll be back with more right after this on the Nest Network. Welcome back into Lemoy Field. A strong run here from the Post University Eagles in the 2nd quarter, but Vincent Burns really doing it himself today for the Georgian court Lions. Came into action with just 2 goals and 2 assists, and he's doubled his season numbers already today with 2 and 2. He just scored a beauty with his back to the goal and drew a penalty on the Eagles in the process. It's a 1 minute slash against Tim Keefe, and so 45 seconds with a man up here for Georgian court as they do enter the zone. And look at this, the heavy hitters just kind of stalking around the perimeter offensively for the Lions. Mallett Smith just scored his 1st goal of the game and his 14th of the season. He gives way to James Sanford. Oh, wow, look at that cut in the middle. George, though, couldn't corral it. That could have been a golden opportunity to ward off that penalty. Instead, McKenzie back on it. And another look here for the Lions. Sanford. Up top to Zur. To Mallett Smith. My goodness, all of these players just such a threat to score. A low shot. Huge save from George as that one was put in on a bounce. And Cole George goes low, stays low, and reads it off to the left, plucking that one and giving it back to the Eagles. Easy clear for Post University. Have to think that they're going to be deliberate and intentional in this offensive approach here with a chance to make it a 3-goal game. 19 shots for the Lions, 17 for the Eagles. 8 saves made already by Burkhart, the starting goalie for Georgian Court. 4 saves made from Cole George, and there you go. That's your flipped number right now. 4 goals and 4 saves to 8 goals and 8 saves. We're playing a pretty even game of lacrosse here. Post unlucky with a couple of plays in front. Keefe unlucky there, but look at the skill from Tyler Burns. And my goodness, the Burns brothers with something to say. Tyler over to Vincent. And a save made from Cole George. That is what the Eagles needed. You almost got victimized by some brotherly love there on the field from Post University. Instead, they survived that dangerous transition chance. And Cole George, his 5th save, he's really ramping it up. That's 4 saves now in quarter number 2. And we're 20 minutes through this contest now as the clock hits the 5-minute remaining mark in the second quarter. Post, I think, if you were to ask Coach why, he's doing other things right now, but if you were to ask him, probably pretty happy about the team getting back into the mix. And there was a huge look right in front for Robbie McGrain. He misses it high, and it will stay with the Eagles, and we're back to even strength lacrosse. Heald has an assist today, working quickly. Looks back to Tim Keefe. Keefe gets his man to move, spins, keeps the left-handed shot alive, tries to float a pass through the middle. It's going to scurry out. I see what Ryan DeNike was trying to do there and ward off the body of the 2 other defenders, but he missed the opportunity to snag the ball, and the ground ball does get picked up by Georgian Court. And now Burkhart, remember, he practically got the assist by floating a pass from his net to Tyler Burns in the midfield and letting Tyler Burns just run right on and snipe. Now, it was too far away to count, but remember, he's really good pulling the strings offensively, and you can see here it leads to just right into their offensive zone, quickly working from behind the X here. Georgian Court hasn't had to try all that hard to get these big opportunities because they've only gone 7-11 on clearing the ball successfully, and yet 8 goals and with a chance to find double digits here in the first half. Webster getting chased in front, and that's too late of a recovery. Nick Gallery doing everything he can to keep Webster away from the play, but the pass set in down on the low post, and an easy near post snipe. Just waiting, I believe that was 71, Joe Zur. And so the 9th goal of the afternoon. And no, my apologies. Not 71, 10 on the goal. And that is the hat trick for Vincent Burns. It is his 3rd today, 5th on the season. Pick your poison here from these Georgian Court Lions. Millen Webster did get the assist. Big play from the Eagles there. Oh, but an unnecessary over-the-shoulder pass. This one gets right into Frank, although Frank is dispossessed by a stick check, but closest to it is number 28, TJ Parrott. And the Lions get out of trouble easily here. They haven't had a problem clearing the ball here in the second quarter. It was some early plays that Georgian Court botched on the clear, but right now, that looks like a completely different game ago. 3 minutes left to go in the second quarter, and this game at one point was 7-4. 2 straight goals from Georgian Court. It feels a lot different now. Vincent Burns, 3 goals and 2 assists already today. Just a game of note for him. He gets wound away from the net. Harrison Jordan hasn't found the score sheet yet, but hasn't stopped him from trying. He hits turf on the play, gets the shot off. It misses behind the net, but Sanford back there. Still 30 to shoot for Georgian Court as Sanford, little shoulder check. They let him go left. Burns with some room. Listen, if you're having the afternoon Vincent Burns is, I can't blame you at all for letting that go. Instead, they'll wind it back to Tyler Burns. Oh, Tyler Burns, nifty play. That is too easy as Brett Bridges scores the easiest of his 21 goals all season. The Burns brothers everywhere as Tyler Burns assists Brett Bridges. And Bridges, his 2nd of the day, his 21st of the season, right when it looked like Post had an angle to get back into this contest at 7-4. It's 3 straight for Georgian Court, and they're up 6. So Tyler Burns, 2 goals, 2 assists. Vincent Burns, 3 goals, 2 assists. Brett Bridges, 2 more goals, bringing his total up to 21. And if if it wasn't, the taste of that loss to Assumption University, it's gone for Georgian Court. They answer their own bell, and no two ways about it. Great start to conference play for them so far. The Eagles, at this point, you're looking for a stop just to stop the bleeding, but instead it's a double hat trick day as Joe Zur finds Twine. How about this, folks? 2 players with hat tricks today. Zur had 1 goal coming into action. He's up to 4. Vincent Burns had 2 goals coming into action. He's up to 5, and you still have Bridges, Tyler Burns, your usual suspects, Mallet Smith scoring as well. Everything going the way of the Georgian Court Lions, and Post University taking their second and final timeout here of the first half. 2 minutes left to go in quarter number 2, so we'll take our 2-minute warning break here. 4 straight goals for Georgian Court, and the Lions lead 11-4. More after this on the Nest Network. You're watching Post University Athletics on the CACC Network. Welcome back to Lemoy Field. My name is Chris Del Sordo, calling you the action today on the CACC Network. Especially by his standards, a very animated Coach Iannarelli at that timeout, really with all of the defenders and middies around him, imploring them, if you're going to go after a ground ball, go after it all the way. Only we can pull ourselves out of this hole, so let's get ourselves out of it. You love to see the fire from a normally mild-mannered guy, and right now, Post, they didn't do themselves any favors in this game, falling behind early 6-1. But they scored 3 straight goals, and at one point this game was 7-4, and it felt like Post was right back in it. But it's 4 straight goals from Georgian Court, 2 from Vincent Burns, 1 from Brett Bridges, 1 from Joe Zur. So a 30-second offsides penalty here called against Georgian Court. That's going to be a great opportunity for Post. Right when you need to manufacture something, you get an offside off the restart out of the timeout. So 30 with a man up here. Let's see if Post can take the opportunity, not just for 1, but potentially for 2. Heald trying to work quickly to Keefe. Hindman. Hands one off to McGrain. Pass goes behind its intended target, but it's still on the stick of the Eagles. Heald. Mismatch defense. Huge play defensively, though. Michael Schoen gets the stick on it, breaks up the passing lane. Oh, wow. It looked like Schoen had possession of the ball, but the referee on the play ruled it a ground ball the entire way. It goes out of bounds, which gives possession back to the Lions. Huge opportunity squandered there with a man up for Post University. And you can see the referee now explaining his call to Coach White. The referee, to his credit, he was on it the entire way. He committed to that call the entire way. It sounds like a solid explanation. And so Georgian Court answering every bell right now. And now Mallet Smith. He has a goal and an assist today. Came into action with 19 points. Now he's up to 21 with 14 and 7. Maybe vying for 15 here. Oh, look at that pass and a big save from George as he reaches up, but it stays in play. Brett Bridges robbed of a potential hat trick there for the Lions, but right back on it is Sanford. And now Bridges unmarked with plenty of room here and 27 to shoot. Instead, he'll wind it back up top. Can't blame him looking in the direction of Vincent Burns the day he's having, but Burns, bit of a mismatch here against the pole of Malcolm Nordquist. Long run out for Mallet Smith. Back over to Joe Zur. Zur, goals 2, 3, and 4 on the season, and he was vying for an assist right there, but too much handling from Sanford, although that one is given away by Nordquist, right back to the Lions. So 9 seconds left, a timeout taken from Georgian Core with 9.2, so they can maybe score their 12th goal of the half. 9.2 seconds remaining. That's the perfect amount of time for us to take one more break. You can go, but don't go far. We'll be right back here on the Nest Network. This game was very close halfway into the second quarter, but 4 straight goals for Georgian Court have them leading comfortably in today's CACC conference debut. It's 11-4 Lions, and now Mallett Smith on the ball, 2 points, including a goal today, with a chance for one more here for Georgian Court. Long shot, it's deflected in front. That's great defense from Tim Keefe. He'll wind it towards the net just in a desperation move. And so the Eagles, they do get that last stop of the half with 9 seconds remaining. But however you split it, a first half to forget if you were a fan of the post-University Eagles. 11 goals, 2 different hat tricks scored by Georgian Court. Another player, Brett Bridges, with 2. It's a big stat day already for these Lions as they try and get back to 500. The Eagles trying to get to 2 games above 500 and get a 1-0 start to CACC play. They're not out of it yet, but they're going to need quite an inspirational halftime speech to right the ship. We're going to take a break here. 9:45 on the clock, so we'll take a 9-minute break. I'll come back with some halftime stats with about a minute to go. So you can go, but don't go far, and we'll see you back here in 9 minutes on the Nest Network. You are watching Post-University Athletics live on the CACC Network. And welcome back in live to the Nest Network. My name is Chris Del Sordo, and you are watching Post-University Athletics live on the CACC Network. Remember, you can view all post-university sports live and archive on our YouTube page at Go Post Eagles on YouTube. 1 minute before we get started with the third quarter, and for the recent games for Post University, this most recent half, a half to forget. Post was behind 5-1 after one quarter of Lacrosse. They made it 7-4, and it felt like they were right back into the game, but 4 consecutive goals to wind us down through the first half for the Georgian Court Lions. Sees Georgian Court leading this game 11-4. Remember, Georgian Court 3-4 on the season, trying to get back to 500. They are the defending CACC Conference Tournament champions. Post, in the middle of the pack in the CACC last year, 4-3 through non-conference play so far right now, and just trying to make a statement early in the CACC Conference, and they haven't gotten off to the best start. That being said, some bright spots as we're reloading the numbers here for you. 2 goals for Tim Keefe, a goal and an assist for Robbie McGrain, but those superlatives outshined by the Burns brothers. Vincent and Tyler, 3 goals and 2 assists for Vincent Burns. Brett Bridges with 2 goals. Mallet Smith with a goal, and Joe Zur, just 1 goal starting action today. He has a hat trick already. And Jackson Holden, he's worked hard in the face-off circle. That is a huge win for the Eagles as Longmore and Sproul combine forces here to clear into the zone. Everybody on the offense hopping onto the field for Post. And the Eagles, that's a great way to start this third quarter, just to give yourself an opportunity to shrink up that deficit. It was 4 straight goals at the end of the second quarter, and it was Vincent Burns and Joe Zur scoring them. Bridges with 1 as well. 8 goals combined amongst that trio, and Bridges is the team's leader in goals. He's up to 21. But Burns, he has 3. He's up to just 5 on the year. Zur with 3. He's up to 4, and Georgian Court showing you what having this big of a roster can give you. So much depth offensively. Tim Keefe, he loves to try and do it himself. He had a decent look there. Couldn't pick the top right corner on the wraparound shot. And so 35 seconds remaining for the Eagles. Leighton Cook on. Quickly to Heald. Very quickly to McGrain. He'll shovel it off to Heald. Fakes the pass high. Keeps the hands high. DeNike gets it. And now DeNike winding around the long pole of Scholl. Post trying to keep this a midfield attack here, not leak out too wide. And look at this opportunity for McGrain, but he gets muscled away from the net. Give and go right in front, and that's a pulled shot right at the corner for Piette. Oh, Piette and McGrain could not have worked that any better than Piette. Had a decent amount of the net to shoot at. Misses it to the right. 2 seconds, 1 second, and there goes a golden opportunity to get this back to a 6-goal game for Post. Piette can't put the shot on frame. The Lions defense, it bends again, it doesn't break, and it's still just 4 goals so far for Post University. And now Vincent Burkhart, he's shown to be a threat here offensively with the ball in his pocket. Easy clear. And a slow stalk into the offensive zone for Millen Webster. Keeping it himself is Webster. Fakes the pick from Zur. Winds it back. Sanford with plenty of room from the X. Sanford changes direction to the right. Rolls off. Puts it back to Tyler Burns. Now Brett Bridges. Now Mallet Smith. Smith. Left-handed dodge, puts it behind Zur. A fortuitous bounce for a second off the turf, but Brown whacks at it and gets it over to Carfagna. And Carfagna with a man in the middle, James Sproul, good clear for the Eagles. And so both defenses, 1 possession, 1 strong showing, and a nifty bounce pass there from Sproul to Tim Keefe to put the Eagles back into the rhythm of their offense.
14 on 3, 1, 2, 3, 14!
Play call 14 echoed out here from the Post University bench. Actually, last game, we had a similar moment. It led to a beautiful give and go goal from Tim Keefe to Hayden Hindman. Hindman on the field right now. He'll call his own number here. This looks like a classic ISO play as he's one-on-one lined up across from Brendan Barnes. Now a rip shot. Did that not go in the net? Unreal. It's saved with the helmet of Vincent Burkhardt. I thought that it hit his face mask and bounced right up off the net, but no. It was backspin. Hey, better to save it with your face if you can't get the stick to it. And Vincent Burkhardt, he's looked great between the pipes, using his head there. And you can see he's feeling the top of his head after wearing that shot. But they don't ask how, they ask how many. And that's one more to the tally for Vincent Burkhardt. He's just a sophomore, folks. They got something good there in net, standing 6'5" for Georgian court. And now the Lions looking for their first goal of the second half. Nothing for Harrison Jordan. We've seen Jordan occupy this space on the field quite a bit on the attack, and he's used his dodge skills to set up some nifty passes, just like that right there. Sanford feeling some stick checks there. Good defense from Esposito. It'll push the Lions far back to about the 35. Running it offensively, Tyler Burns has a goal and an assist. Brother Vincent really stealing the show so far with 3 and 2. And now Bridges leads the team with 21 goals now, 2 today. Potentially could be the third different line with a hat trick. That's good on-ball defense from Longmore. The Lions with just 4 seconds to get a shot off. Looking for the angle. There's going to be a slip down low. Shot is missed wide, and the shot clock violation is forced by the post defense. Now, it's only been 2 possessions, but it's been 2 possessions that Georgian court has run all 90 seconds more or less through their offense. And so Post looking like a completely different team defensively here in half number 2. 2 stops, looking confident in the process. George, not a lot of help here, but Tim Keefe, he doesn't need a good pass. He takes it off the turf, gets around 2 defenders, loses it momentarily. He puts a touch on it, but he turns it over, and Jordan Frank, right there to scoop it up. But a great play recovery by James Sproul, just taking it off the stick of Vaughn Meehan. Meehan occupying the spacing that Mallett Smith usually takes on the field, so that's 32, not 33. He had no idea Sproul was waiting behind him. And one of the best mullets in D2 lacrosse coming to arrive and force that turnover right there. Sproul is just as good as it gets defensively as a midfielder goes. Most of the time he does use the long pole. And that looked like a bad turnover from Keefe, and the only one that stuck with it for the Eagles was Sproul, and he gets it right back. Almost as if it never happened. And so Piet, man in the middle is McGrain. McGrain head fake through traffic, keeps the hands high, and now works it back to the X. Has a cutter, Hindman. Oh, and McGrain looks like a bit of a non-contact injury after he gets rid of that pass to Hindman. Loses his stick on the play. It seems like he's dealing with a bit of a dead arm, so Leighton Cook going to call his own number. Down low on the doorstep. Beautiful pass, but it's stick checked at the last second. Piet had a cutting Hindman, and that ball gets right into the crease where it's picked up by Vincent Burkhardt. Just a hair too long to let that play develop. And by the time Hindman was ready to pick it up, he just gets stick checked right in the crease. And now Burkhardt trying to float this one in. Look at how good of a passer this man is. Puts it right over the top into the stick of Brett Bridges. Tyler Burns scored the 3rd goal of the game by taking one of those lofted outlet passes from Burkhardt and running right up the seam and scoring. And could it be another goal initiated by the goalie, Vincent Burkhardt? No, it will not, because that's a hold called against Georgian court. So once again, Post University here in half number 2. Their offense looks like it's gotten a little bit closer to finding twine, and their defense maybe having something figured out here. Great transition look, and now Brown right through the middle. Jalen Brown thinks about the shot, passes it down low, but the save on DeNike, he's robbed. Oh, that was the right decision from Brown to pass it over to DeNike. Maybe he had a chance for the goal. Instead, it's a 3-on-1 the other way, and that is way too easy for Brett Bridges. James Sanford with the assist. Brett Bridges, his 3rd goal of the day, his 22nd on the season, and it is 3 hat tricks for the Lions as Brett Bridges finds twine, giving Georgian court their largest lead of the day. It's 12-4. So Bridges, his 3rd, he joins Zur and Vincent Burns with hat tricks already today. Sanford, normally a goal-scoring threat. He's got 2 assists today, bringing his total up to 7. Big face-off win there for Holden. Sproul there to get up the loose ground ball. And it just seems like, in spite of all the positives that we have seen out on the field for Post University, the scoreboard not reflecting it, and it's continuing to go the opposite direction. You can hear just the differences between the two benches right now at Lemoy Field. Not as many players on that post bench. A lot of guys gasping for breath right now and just trying to build each other back up. Everybody seems pretty comfortable and happy over there on the Lions sideline. Keith for the hat trick, but the save is made by Burkhardt. He is turning in a career game right now for the Lions. Keith just one-on-one, he's a taller player, so even with that standard-sized stick, he creates more of a wingspan. And Burkhardt read the angle created by Keith, just plucks that ball out of midair. Double-digit saves now for Vincent Burkhardt. He is up to 10. Cole George has made 9, but he's allowed 12 goals. Bridges to Meehan. Down low on the doorstep. Huge save from Cole George. He robs Tyler Michalski right in front. So now both goalies with double-digit saves. But my goodness, as Cole George had to work harder to get to that point. Post just looking for anything positive here. Their sideline still barking out support as Hindman and Steele join the attack for the Eagles. Steele going to take it himself. A senior from Schwenksville, Pennsylvania. Went to Perkiomen Valley High School. Hindman. A nice stroll, if you will, trying to see if he can draw a second defender. Instead, puts it out to DeNike, runs back out to set the pick. Now DeNike floats down.
We got this. Oh, let's go.
Post very deliberate here. Haven't seen that many turnovers, but substantial less shots on the net. That will be a penalty drawn by Post University and Ryan DeNike. And can he turn it into a goal here and maybe get a goal and a man-up opportunity? Hindman shoulder fake. Hindman. Over to Steele. Steele off the pass from McGrain. Down low, DeNike. That's a beautiful pass, but a better save from Burkhardt, completely robbing Tim Keefe on the doorstep. Wow, I didn't even know that he was a part of me. That was Leighton Cook down there on the doorstep. Didn't even see him. The Eagles did, but Burkhardt reads it and makes his 11th save, and it looks pretty in the process. The penalty against Michael Schoen, and we'll wait for the official call. It's a 1-minute call for a trip, and so the Eagles, they can't get that goal and the power play, but they will have 60 seconds with a man up. Remember, looking at the scoreboard, we still have 20 and a half minutes of lacrosse left, so if you can clip a quick goal here, anything's possible if you get that momentum behind you.
Let's get loud, Gordon. I haven't heard you in a minute. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Just yell.
Around the perimeter, Hindman from the quarterback spot, over to Cook. Crossfield pass, it's deflected. It still gets down low to Heald. Can he win the race to the ball? It bounces up at the sideline. He bats at it to keep it in, so how about that? Post University still on the front foot. And now behind the net, Heald. Up top. Long shot from Keefe, and it's a kick save from Burkhardt. It bounces up and backwards. Shot clock resets to 60. Still 21 seconds with a man up. For Post. Burkhardt, though, another highlight reel save. He's up to 12. Long shot from Keefe. No, he fakes it. Drives in. Piet, 5-hole goal! And Keefe, when he's not scoring, he's setting the table. Noah Piet goes low and hits double digits on the season. It is a man-up goal for Noah Piet, his 10th of the season. You can give the dime to Keefe, and the Eagles get one back. It's 12-5. So that's got to feel good for Post University. In this third quarter, they're knotted back up at 1-1. It's a team that lets its defense lead the way. You can ask anybody on this team, they will tell you that. And so that's why you have a lot of lower scoring Post University games. Didn't have that luxury with the start Georgian Court got out to today, but hand it to the Eagles. Their defense looking much better here in quarter number 3, and Jackson Holden starting to figure it out in the center circle. That's his third consecutive win. Keefe back on the field. He's got 2 and a dime. DeNike, Piet, and McGrain, your 3 other goal scorers for Post University.
1, 2, 3.
And once again, still plenty of time here, thanks to that early face-off win. DeNike back out to Steele, all the way over to Leighton Cook. And now Dylan Heald. He'll amble in with the cradle alive, draws the long pole defender, takes on the body of the long pole defender, spins back, fakes the left-handed shot. Over to DeNike, and now Steele behind the net. Nick Steele. Now it's work quickly around the perimeter again. So Post just trying to draw someone out of place. Maybe the spin move from Heald can make it happen. It's behind the cutter, and it will go into the restraining zone. That's a zone turnover for the Eagles. Ball will get reset for the Lions here. And it's been a quiet last 10 minutes offensively for Georgian Court, but remember, so many dangerous goal scorers out on the field. You can't fall asleep at the wheel. They're up 7, looking for more. Behind the net is Dennison. Logan Dennison over to Tyler Michalski. Michalski, one of the few players yet to score for Georgian Court, who has a lot of goals on the season. He was robbed twice on the doorstep. Mallett Smith trying. His shot goes wide. It will be picked up by Dennison. He winds it back into play. Millen Webster, 2 assists today. Joe Zur, one of 3 Georgian Court Lions with a hat trick. Down low to Webster, big stick check on the backside by Gallery. Ball is still loose, knocks at it again, but it is picked up on the play by Millen Webster. He survived 3 different stick checks there. Gallery had it knocked loose twice, but 19 survives. That one, a high pass. Zur can't grab it, and Tim Keefe loses it right back into the stick of Joe Zur. 71 with some nifty recovery there after Tim Keefe looked to force the turnover. Mallett Smith winds his way into a double team, which means somebody's open out there. You don't want it to be Brett Bridges. He goes back to Mallett Smith. Oh, swim move, right-handed shot. Huge save from Cole George. He is amping up his play here when the going has gotten tough. It wasn't the best first half for him, but quarter number 3, phenomenal. 6 saves on 7 shots now for Cole George in this third quarter. Tough play, though, right there as it's turned over at midfield by Keefe. He was getting pestered by 2 different Lions. And now Zur slowly stalking from the top of the play. That's the 3rd time we've seen that happen, where Post, with just a very impressive defensive zone stop, but a little lackadaisical on the clear, and it leads to just an unforced error type turnover. Georgian Court just 1 goal here in the third quarter, but still on the front foot and still on the attack. Tyler Burns has Harrison Jordan setting the screen. And now Mallett Smith. He can go both ways. Chops in with the left. Cradle alive with the right. Behind the net to Dennison. That was a dangerous spot to leave Michalski alone, but he opts to go back to Dennison. Time winding down on this possession now. 25 on a running shot clock for the Lions. Jordan gets around his mark. Bounces it in. George had it. Can't stay with it, but it does settle down in the crease and allows Cole George to pick it up. His 7th save of the third quarter on 8 shots on goal. Man, these numbers looking good for Cole George, even with 12 goals allowed, up to 50% save in this contest. And the Eagles not making it easy on him. Just like that right there, same play 2 times in a row where they get the stop and the clear, and Esposito, working too quickly without enough help, turns it right back over. That is the 12th turnover committed by Post University, just 8 right now for Georgian Court. And what's even more unfortunate about that is the currency that these turnovers have had. A lot of them have been costly and leading to goal looks on the other end. Doug McKenzie. He's the team's 3rd leading scorer. Hasn't recorded a point yet today. It just speaks to the embarrassment of riches of the defending CACC champs. Harrison Jordan, with 9 seconds left in the quarter here, maybe one more chance for Georgian Court. Swim move, spin move. Can they get the shot off in time? Well, they had a look there, but the pass evades Jordan, and that will bring us to the end of the third quarter. The third quarter tied on the scoreboard at 1 apiece, but Post University, they have to feel good about that showing, that answer that they provided defensively. 15 minutes of lacrosse left to go. there's a chance, it's a slim one, for the Eagles to get back into this game. We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, quarter number 4 on the Nest Network. You are watching Post University Athletics live on the CACC Network. Welcome back into Lemoy Field. My name is Chris Del Sordo. You are watching the Nest Network, Post University Athletics live on the CACC Network. Post University leading this contest 12-5, or trailing in this contest 12-5 because 3 different hat trick scores for Georgian Court have them up 12-5 in this contest. One of the 3 scorers, a name you would expect. The other 2, a little bit down lower on the stat sheet. But Vincent Burns, his 3 goals bring him up to 5, and he also has 2 assists this afternoon. And I'll get back to we'll finish the thought. Joe Zur came in today with 1 goal. He has 3. He's up to 4. And then Brett Bridges, the team's leader, one of the CACC's, preeminent goal-scoring threats, also has a hat trick and an assist. So he came in today with 29 points. He's up to 33 now with 22 goals and 11 apples on the season. Nice stick check there on the backside from Jalen Brown. That's 2-0, Rob Torelli. We've seen the freshman Torelli get a lot of playing time this afternoon, and he's answered the bell out there on the turf. But a man unmarked in the middle, and the shot sent just wide. George a little late with the reaction, but the shot from Sanford gets pulled. I mentioned that Sanford, normally a goal-scoring threat, 6 goals coming into action today, but today he's been the dimer. A pair of beautiful assists operating from behind the X. Vincent Burns, 5 points today. Mallett Smith with a goal and an assist. Tries to survive the stick check of James Sproul. Sproul, the junior out of Aurora, Ontario, Canada. Just another good, solid performance there at the long stick midi spot. Just 10 seconds to shoot for Georgian Court. Very patient approach, and that had to be a goal, right? I guess, hey, the Eagles will take advantage of it. I swore that was off the bottom inside netting. No, that shot goes off the post. At least as it was ruled on the field, Eagles will take it, and now a pretty easy-looking clear for Longmore. 1 defender to get around. Oh, and the defender breaks his own stick. That's the stick that Joe Zur just scored 3 goals with today. It is gone and lost forever right now on the Lemoy Field turf. And so Longmore showing you the strength there. He's 6'5" and knows how to handle the ball as well. 13-10 left to go here in the 4th quarter. Post just trying to chip away at this 7-goal deficit. Remember, this is our opening game in the CACC conference this season. Post University 4-3. Georgian Court, the defending champs, 3-4. And potentially an uncharacteristic start for the Lions in their non-conference schedule, but they were able to put all of that in the rearview mirror. They scored 11 goals in the first half, looks solid playing from the lead here in half number 2. And that's a mistake you don't want to see happen as DeNike, it wasn't the best ball sent into him. He couldn't catch it on the bounce. It does roll over the end line for yet another post-university turnover. They were playing the cleaner lacrosse in the first half. They just weren't making the saves. Now Cole George stopping everything sent in his way, it seems like. And then on the other end, it's the offense letting him down. Onto the field offensively is Doug McKenzie. He's snaking in along the backside of the play. He gets the cycled pass from Vincent Burns. Jab step, Jalen Brown sticks with him. McKenzie goes back up top to Harrison Jordan. Jordan quickly to the X. That's Vincent Burns. Now he has the long stick in front of him in the form of Nate Dowd. McKenzie and Brown, they have been linked up quite a bit here this afternoon. Brown once again keeps McKenzie out of trouble, but now Tyler Burns, chop step, gets around his defender, makes him miss with a spin, swim move, pass to the middle, and it's still loose. Wow, it's going to get back to the Lions after that great effort on the play by James Sanford. Whacks it back to Tyler Burns. And now Sanford will get rewarded. He created that play by batting it back. It goes to Burns. Burns over to Bridges. Bridges passes it back to Sanford. And now everybody in the fun. Sanford from Bridges, and it's back to an 8-goal lead for Georgian Court, retying their largest lead of the afternoon. Mentioned that Sanford had been doing it out of the goal column, and even then it was the hustle there on the loose ball to bat it back over to Burns. Ultimately, the ball finds Bridges. Obviously, Bridges is going to draw a couple defenders, and that leaves Sanford then unmarked right in front of the net. So, for James Sanford, it is his 7th goal of the season to go along with 2 assists today, so he has 7 goals and 7 assists. And Brett Bridges, what a day. A hat trick for the team's leading scorer. 2 more assists to boot. Plenty of Lions are going to be very happy looking at this box score after the contest. It has been an even showing for the defending conference champs. So at this point in the game, the verbiage I like to use, it's all ceremonial. This game more or less decided with Georgian Court holding an 8-goal lead in the 4th quarter, but you can go on a run yourself and maybe make it look a little bit better on the website, look a little bit better on the score sheet. Keith trying for a hat trick today, and there's a goal from the outside, and it's Noah Piet for his 2nd. Once again, Keith doing the dancing to set up a look, and Piet from distance this time finds Twine. He's in his senior season, one of the Bowmanville locals here in Waterbury, and for the 2nd time today, and the 11th time this season, it's Piet picking the top corner. So it was 2 goals consecutively for Tim Keefe to start the action. Noah Piet, 2 in a row, and so 2 different Eagles with a chance to potentially get themselves a hat trick. So forget the thought of it all being ceremonial. Jackson Holden looking much better in the center circle here for Post University. They retain possession. You never know if they start working quickly. They can feel like they're back into this contest. Keefe draws the double team, flips it over to DeNike. Ryan DeNike. In through 2, swims in, loses it at the last second, tries to bat it in towards the net, and the long pole of Michael Schoen takes it out of trouble. DeNike, once again, it was just a hair too long. Held on to it for a hair too long, and before he could get the shot off after so many nifty moves, that last player, that last line of defense, it was the long pole, Michael Schoen, got him out of trouble. Georgian Court needing to wind everybody back out of the zone to stay on sides here, so they have to be very deliberate, and now they have the 6 men on the field that they want, but it took them about 40 seconds off the shot clock to get the proper personnel out there. Mallet Smith, no look pass, that one almost got around George, and misses wide. Sanford, it seemed like he just needed to see that 1 goal go in, and now, oh my goodness, is he buzzing around the field here. Under 10 minutes remaining, 9:38 to be specific here at Lemoy Field. Post University achieving its goal of slowing down the Georgian Court Lions. They've held them to just 2 goals. here in the second half. Unfortunately, they've scored just to themselves. Long pass, healed, and now here's a chance for steal. Down low and a great recovery on the play. Joe Murphy, again, the defender, throws his stick in the passing lane, deflects that one out of bounds. It will allow the Eagles to reset from behind the net, but number 8, along with number 44 and 45, just 3 phenomenal defensive players here for Georgian Court. We'll wind back into play now, as the Eagles, their last 2 trips into the offensive zone, just a millimeter away from getting a point-blank shot off. Instead, Hindman, working from distance, tries to bounce it in. He gets stick-checked from Schoen on the shot, and then a nice nifty pass from Murphy. These defenders, they can't do anything wrong, and particularly number 8, Joe Murphy, number 45, Michael Schoen, and number 44, Jordan Frank. It's going to be a film game for those 3, one that they'll be happy to watch after this win today here in Waterbury. But still 8.5 minutes left to go, and so Georgian Court has an opportunity to put a bunch of CACC teams on notice here if they can make this an exclamation point style victory. Mallet Smith trying to get his second, puts it wide, and good hustle there from, I believe, that's 2-0, Rob Torelli, the true freshman. He's looked good out there today. He wins the race to the ball to force the turnover, and we'll go back the other way. If you're just joining us, this game has been a tale of 2 halves. 11 goals in the first half for Georgian Court, 4 for Post University. Oh, bad mishandle there by Brown. Luckily, he's bailed out on the backside of the play by DeNike. And now Ryan DeNike looks back in the direction of Tim Keefe. Keefe has a man right in front of the net in the form of Dylan Heald. Keefe stops, tries to get his defender to overrun. Keeps the high cradle alive. Heald's going to let it rip, and the save made from Burkhart. There were bodies moving, but Burkhart was able to watch that one all the way in. Heald went low to high. Burkhart went up with him, and Vincent Burkhart, a day to remember for the sophomore, out of Stillwater, Minnesota. 14 saves now to just 6 goals allowed. That's 20 shots put in on goal from Post University. And with Big 21 in net, all 6'5" of him, it's been a tough task finding any room to get around him. But I don't want to bury the story of Post defense re-answering the bell here in the second half. This is a tough look, but a man right in the middle, and there's your classic broadcaster jinx. Harrison Jordan drove it into the middle. Sanford gets on mark for the 2nd time today. And the 8th time this season, it's James Sanford finding Twine.
Let's go, Jack, your volley.
That was too easy of a goal there for Georgian Court, and once again, I mentioned it. Jordan sets it up. Sanford finds Twine. And a classic broadcaster jinx for me. I was saying they were looking so solid once Georgian Court was able to get into their set offense. But right there, somebody fell asleep at the wheel because nobody marked Sanford. And Jordan, he's been drawing the double team. He did again. And a smart decision to just flip that ball over to James Sanford. So Georgian Court winning on the scoreboard by 8. They're winning the battle of the second half by 1. Easy clear back into the zone after a face-off win, but a turnover. Kyle Harms has done everything on the field except score a goal, and he gets the clear. He'll run 100 more yards to come off the field. And joining the offensive attack is Millen Webster from the backside. So it's Webster, Sanford, Bridges, Zur, Mallet Smith, and Vincent Burns, the 6th in the offensive zone for Georgian Court. Vincent Burns, the story of the first half. He's still at 5 points, 3 goals and 2 assists today. Winding around. Chance for Brett Bridges on the doorstep. Thinks better of it, goes back to Vincent Burns. Now Mallet Smith. Charges it on the X. Gets Jack Longmore to stop. Works right, spins left. Keeps the hands alive for the left-handed shot. Thinks better of it. Now 16 to shoot. Bridges to Burns. Right back over to Brett Bridges. To Sanford on the X. He's been the man of the second half, and he puts that one just wide. Can the Lions win the race to the ball? Yes, they do. Vincent Burns does with 3 seconds left. Let's see if the Lions have anything in their repertoire to get a shot off in time. No, they don't. He'll just roll it out of bounds there, and it will allow everybody to get back defensively for Georgian Court. Smart play there from Vincent Burns. He's a sophomore, playing like somebody who's been around the sport of lacrosse forever this afternoon, and no need to be the hero there, and it even looks good, just kind of sending it down and out of play. This one bounced straight up. Healed, can't win the race to it from Frank. That was good thought there from Dowd as he just lofted it all the way across the field. And after the bounce, Healed almost had it, but instead it bounces out of his stick. Frank forces the turnover. Miranda gets the clear, and now Aiden Miranda keeping it himself, evading Jack Longmore, and allowing Tyler Burns to join the offensive attack. The Burns brothers out on the field together. Harrison Jordan, 2 assists today, takes the ball on the shovel feed from Tyler Burns. Jalen Brown and Harrison Jordan, this has been your primetime matchup out along the perimeter. Jordan gets around him here, looks behind the net to Vincent Burns. Now Doug McKenzie, one of the only goal-scoring threats that hasn't recorded a point today for the Georgian Court Lions. There's big 6'3" sophomore Harrison Jordan. Frees up some room for Bridges, and now McKenzie. One-on-one against Longmore. No room, but he goes across field for Jordan, who snipes! Wow, it was great defense from Longmore, taking McKenzie away from the play, but Doug McKenzie eyes across the field, and Harrison Jordan, for the first time today, finds Twine. For Jordan, it is his 6th goal, it is his 8th point, and McKenzie, just for the 3rd time this year, gets an assist, but it's a beautiful one, and 9 goals, the largest lead of the contest for Georgian Court. They're up 15-6. And with that, Post University taking a timeout. That's our first timeout that we've had here in the second half. 4:25 left to go, a 9-goal lead for Georgian Court. We'll have the conclusion of this contest when we return from this break on the Nest Network. Well, you can't question the grit of this Post-University Eagles team right now. Still charging hard, trailing by a score of 15-6 here in the fourth quarter at Lemoy Field. Coach Iannarelli taking the time out and very, very animated right in front of us here on the sideline, wanting to see some more out of his team. Even though this game numerically was never really close in the second half, there was a chance in the second quarter for the Eagles to get back into this game. It was 7-4. They allowed 4 consecutive goals to Georgian Court, and ever since that happened, have just been looking like the lesser team. And that's unfortunate considering that at times, even when trailing 7-4, they were looking more flashy, looking like they had a better potential out there than Georgian Court. And so, got to hand it to Coach Iannarelli, just trying to get some spark out of anybody here to carry up some more momentum. Remember, one more non-conference game against Molloy College before you get back into CACC play. And so you don't want to hit the ground flat the way that the Eagles did, especially starting off the second half. Cook trying to call his own number. Closest to the ball is Vincent Burkhardt. He's doing everything right today. That shot misses wide. He read it off the stick that it was going to go wide, and then was able to get out, win the race to the ball, end an easy clear. What can't the man do? And now, Meehan with a look. He'll swing it back out to Millen Webster. Meehan comes off for Mallett Smith. They're players that look very similar, wearing 33 and 32, and they occupy the same space on the field. Driving in on the play was Millen Webster. He gets it back up top, thought about the long shot, now Zur. This is his a new stick. We saw him break his stick on a stick check earlier. He scored 3 goals with the stick he was using earlier, maybe trying to get the first one on that stick here. Not seeing the ball is Bridges, and that allows that's Carfagna to just bat it past the defense. Man in the middle, a cross-field pass, and Cook sends it wide. McGrain, had the chance there as DeNike slipped it over to Robbie McGrain. Hard shot, misses it wide, but the Eagles now, with that personnel advantage, shot clock back to 60. 2:39 left. And Heald winds it into play. So Dylan Heald, Hayden Hindman, Tim Keefe, Noah Piette, Robbie McGrain, Ryan DeNike, your 6 on the field right now. Keefe, 2 and an assist today. 1 more point. He will get up to 40 on the season. He was trying for an assist underneath there to Dylan Heald. Instead, it goes wide, and once again, it's Vincent Burkhardt with the ball behind the net. I understand that this game has been decided, and so you don't want to do anything too unsportsmanlike, but I couldn't blame Vincent Burkhardt if he wanted to try and get a clear himself at this point. How confident he's looked with the ball, and he's essentially been part of the Georgian Court offense today, the way he's lofted those clears right into play. Nifty play there by Brett Bridges, but he turns it over to Nolan Carfagna trying to keep it in bounds. Looks like a 30-second difference, so never mind. That's not going to play into this game at all. The Eagles will have plenty of time to get a shot off here. Post University trying to outscore their first half total. 4 in the first half. Just 2 so far here with just 90 seconds remaining in this contest. Steele to Piette. Chop step. Noah Piette, man in the middle. While it got through the intended target, Heald, though, creates some space from DeNike. And now McGrain into the middle. Rip shot for Steele, and he scores! Big goal for Nick Steele off the feed from Robbie McGrain. And once again, it was that simple, let the defender come to you, I'll slip it over to the man in the middle, and Nick Steele stepping into one and letting it rip. Just his 2nd goal of the season, his 4th point. And Robbie McGrain doesn't do this often, but another dime for Robbie. He's got 3 points today. Steele for McGrain. And the Eagles make it look a little bit better on the scoreboard. It's 15-7. Just nice to see a ball get past Vincent Burkhardt as he stopped really almost everything thrown his way this afternoon. 15 saves to just 7 goals allowed. And this game reaches its final minute with Tim Keefe. Remember, he's 1 point away from 40 on the season. You have to think that Post wants to match their first half total of 4 goals with 4 more here in half number 2. Keefe trying, puts it just wide. It will stay with the Eagles, though, as DeNike right there on the X reaches out at it. Doesn't corral it, but he gets it. And where the shot clock is here, Post can effectively hold for the last shot, but with that on-ball defense from Michael Schoen, he's done everything right today. It's going to be difficult, and he'll pick up the ground ball himself. Not quite. It goes out of bounds. It was last touched by Schoen. Oh, but it was played out of bounds on the play by DeNike on the backside. The referee on the far side of the field had the call. It looked as if Post would have one more chance at net. Instead, Georgian Court, an aerial route. It's tipped on the play by Robbie McGrain, and he keeps it in bounds. So that ball intercepted by McGrain, but then he steps out of bounds. Would have been one more chance at a highlight play before we came to the end, but that will effectively do it. So Georgian Court, they answer back after the very disappointing 12-11 loss against Assumption University. They more than double up the Post University Eagles, and maybe one more shot on net. It's sent long. 0.7 of a second left to go here, but that will do it. With the win, Georgian Court moves to 4-4 on the season. Same record now for Post University. They also hit the 4-win, 4-loss mark. You could hear it from the sideline of Post University. A practically perfect game played by the Georgian Court defense, and they can thank their big netminder, Vincent Burkhardt, to get them there. Today's final score, the Georgian Court Lions, 15. The The Post University Eagles 7. And once again, both teams now 4-4 with this result. Georgian Court off to a 1-0 start in the CACC. Post University falling to 0-1. We'll go a quick run through the goal numbers here for Post University. Tim Keefe from Robbie McGrain, Tim Keefe unassisted. Ryan DeNike from Dylan Heald, Robbie McGrain from Jack Longmore. Noah Piet from Tim Keefe, Noah Piet unassisted, and Nick Steele from Robbie McGrain. That was the 7 for Post University. 15 to speak of for Georgian Court. It was Brett Bridges from Vincent Burns, then Joe Zur, then Tyler Burns, then Joe Zur again, then Tyler Burns again, then Vincent Burns got into the mix, then Mallet Smith from Joe Sanford, then Vincent Burns unassisted, then Vincent Burns from Millen Webster giving him a hat trick. Brett Bridges scored his second off an assist from Tyler Burns. Then Joe Zur got his hat trick to bring us to 11-4 at the end of the first half. Brett Bridges the lone goal in the third quarter for the Lions. The assist from Joe Sanford. That gave Bridges a hat trick. Then Sanford back-to-back goals assisted from Bridges and Harrison Jordan respectively. And then Harrison Jordan